I did think maybe that yesterday the good ship UKIP went through a little bit of a squall. But I think, having listened to the speeches this morning, that she's back to full speed and heading in the right direction. When I joined UKIP 19 and a half years ago, so I don't get a medal, I, like all the rest of you, was called a fruitcake, nutter, bonehead, crank, and a swivel-eyed gadfly. And I probably was, because at the beginning it really was very tough. For years, we appeared to be getting absolutely nowhere. I personally lost every deposit in every election in which I stood. For years, I motored around the country in my Bedford horse box, painted up in UKIP colours, accompanied by the dear departed Gerald Roberts very often. And in the back, instead of horses, I had a table, chairs, and boxes of leaflets that had been produced in the bedroom on an amateur printer by my good friend, Duke Maskell. And at our destinations, we would rendezvous with a couple of UKIP members, set up the table in town square or on the street, and try to recruit a few more, and at the end of each day, hope to have set up a new branch. There were some unpleasant moments too. Twice I was involved in a brutal, painful, but necessary removal of a party leader who had lost their way and were leading us up a cul-de-sac, in spite of having done very fine work in the early days. I worked my socks off, running numerous poorly funded regional, national, and by-elections with little success, but always supported by superlative volunteers. 3 of the candidates for whom I strove to get elected shafted me. One sued me in the court, one became a convicted serial benefits fraudster, and one, a well-known TV personality, who some of you might remember, who attempted to take the party by storm, but ended by taking himself and 2 UKIP assembly members into political oblivion, but not before undoing years of endeavour. That act alone ensured that the general election of 2005 was doomed for UKIP at the outset. I tried and tried, but I failed at that election. Our team was tiny, and at one point, due to flu, I was entirely on my own, running the campaign, looking after 500 candidates, working 20 hours a day. And it broke my health. So would I do it again? You bet your life I would. You see, during that journey, I met so many wonderful people. People who put their hearts and minds at the disposal of their convictions, not at the disposal of their egos or their ambitions. I have been privileged to meet so many patriots, but the bravest man of all that I met in my time in UKIP was Vladimir Bukovsky, who spent 12 years in the Soviet gulags. And he chillingly one day said to me, I have lived in your future. From that moment, I set about even harder with determination and devotion in my job as party chairman. But the main reason that I would do it again is because of what you have done this year in 2013. You have made everything that all of us in those early days did worthwhile. And you also make us and give us the right to feel entitled to join in your success. You would not be here today but for us. And I would not be so proud today but for you. Not always gloom and despondency. I was in Hexham with my wife, who's a good and great campaigner herself for UKIP, and we were fighting an anti-metrication campaign that was introduced by the European Union, and the British government decided that it was going to ban British weights and measures and make them illegal. So we used to festoon Safeway's supermarket with anti-metrication leaflets. And we did this for months. But eventually I was caught. The police were called, and in the ensuing kerfuffle, my brilliant wife used the situation as cover to go round and distribute even more leaflets. I was banned from Safeways for life, and they don't seem to have told Morrison's that took them over. My wife got away with it scot-free, of course. Two particularly important elections spring to mind. In 1998, there was a first-past-the-post by-election for a European seat, and we gained 12% at Doncaster in South Yorkshire. And that gave the party heart, because the following year we were fighting the European elections under the new PR rules that still apply today. And it gave the party hope that we could gain seats. And then that election itself, when I helped Nigel gain his seat, our very first success after 6 years hard graft for nothing. And it was the most tremendous moment at the count of my life, I think, and the most exciting day that I think I have ever enjoyed. Your recent achievement have led to you gaining the trust of the British people, millions of people. Whether you like it or not, you hold that trust in the cups of your hands. Every single one of you holds that. You cannot afford to let them down, and you cannot afford to allow Vladimir's prediction to come true. You will need all your conviction, ability, dedication, and inventiveness. In the next 12 months, as we saw a little bit yesterday, you will come under sustained, cruel, unjust, and sustained attack, instigated by frightened political opponents and a deceitful establishment. Respond honestly. Behave with humour, humility, integrity, and dignity. Stick together like glue. Rally round and support Nigel, who has to face it all at the sharp end. And work for the cause and not yourselves. and you will take this country by storm. Thank you.